Chapter 30, Golden Horn. In the Great Hall, Guhai and his party looked at the letter. All of them were filled with doubts. "Don't worry, my lord. We will definitely do our best to search within the Dafengang," Gao Xianzi said in a deep voice. Guhai nodded and probed his hand to collect the letter. Turning his head, he looked at Li Wei. "Turn around. Take the tattoo on Li Wei's head and topographize it for me," Guhai ordered to Shangguan Trace. "Yes," Shangguan Trace answered. Stepping forward, Guhai walked towards the outside of the Grand Hall. The crowd followed Guhai out of the Great Hall. Outside the Great Hall, all the wicked people in the four directions were in the midst of waiting anxiously, and when they saw Guhai and his party come out, they were suddenly excited. "Greetings, my lord," the crowd of evildoers shouted in unison. Guhai nodded and stood above the square looking at the crowd of villains. The surroundings were all silent. "All of you, following me. Guhai, there will be countless dangers. Dangers so dangerous that you can hover on the edge of life and death," Guhai said in a deep voice. The wicked people around them immediately looked solemn. "But I want you all to know that with danger, there will be equally great rewards. This time, when we raided the Great Abundance Gang, all the spirit stones are here, and I'll share them with all of you," Guhai droned. "Many thanks, my lord," the crowd shouted at once. "Today, the spirit spring was set up by me with the strongest spirit formation, a consumption of all the spirit stones. It will probably only be able to support us for about a day of immersion, so tomorrow, we will start operating the Colosseum and prepare to deal with the foreign invasion," Guhai said in a deep voice. One day, the wicked people who were previously excited. At this moment, all of their faces changed, before hearing Chen Chongchen say that the artificial spirit spring very much consumed spirit stones. But no one thought it would be this much. The spirit stones in the pool, but there are hundreds of thousands of which there are thousands of top-grade spirit stones, so many spirit stones that can only be used for one day. This was more than a luxury, right? Of course, at this time, no one would mind. Yes, the crowd of villains excitedly responded to the drink. "Follow me, in order, into the spring," Guhai said in a deep voice. As he spoke, Guhai stepped towards the spiritual spring. The four ministers followed closely behind, followed by the Bai Changs, the Shi Changs, and one by one, the villains entered the spiritual spring one after another. Buzz! In the spiritual spring, rolling aura steeply emerged, instantly drilling towards the pores of everyone. A great relief immediately filled the entire body, and a look of enjoyment appeared on everyone's faces. Boom! Steeply a ripple bulged out from one person's body, seemingly a breakthrough in cultivation. "Cool," that evil person instantly said freely. With only one day to go, how could the others have time to care? They were all desperately enjoying the mildest of auras. Guhai sat on a huge rock in the pool, only absorbing the purple spiritual mother's chi around him. It was as if there was a small purple dragon swimming beside Guhai, absorbing the rolling spiritual mother's chi. Rumble. One after another, people were getting breakthroughs, and this amount of spiritual chi was naturally much more violent than what Guhai had set up before, and no one wanted to waste a bit of time. 9-5 Island, the land to the west of the island. Rumble. Dark clouds covered the area, and heavy rain fell. The huge sea beast Bosha slowly walked forward. Wherever it went, a wands. Bosha was in the shallow wands, slowly moving. In front of the 3,000 shrimp soldiers and crab generals were also in the middle of opening. Up the road. Along the way, the four directions gathered more and more cultivators, one by one. The cultivators looked at Boshi's team from afar, but no one dared to approach. Roar. Boshimo raised the sky and let out a long roar. At once, the lightning and thunder of the sky phase intensively should drink Boshimo. Sea beast Boshita. Why did it come ashore? A distant cultivator frowned. This way past. How many mortals didn't have time to escape and drowned in this wampum, sinful ore? Could there be some treasure about to come out? Possibly. The Divine Mechanism Battalion's battalion master is also here. Where is it? How come I don't see it? In the sky. Look, that flying boat. Amidst the crowd's discussion, they looked up at the sky. Sure enough, high above the dark clouds, there was a huge flying boat at the moment, with a large flag above it, inscribed with the words Divine Mechanism Battalion. The flying boat was covered by a formation. Even if it rained, it couldn't rain on the flying boat for a single minute. At this moment, in the front section of the flying boat, the Divine Mechanism Battalion's battalion master, Li Haran, was dressed in a golden armor, his hands holding the railing, overlooking the huge Barsha below. Battalion master. This Barshia's unwavering movement really senses something, a subordinate curiously said. Li Haran's eyes narrowed slightly. We searched according to the map, but were at a loss. However, it is definitely on this island. Since this beast can sense it, it's best. Yes, Battalion Master, we compared based on the map. The direction that Barjia traveled, it seems like he's passing by the Da Fengang, the subordinate said. Great Fengang. Da Fengang, the weakest of the 5 major clans of the 9-5 islands, the gang leader, Li Wei, is at the early stage of the Yuanying realm. His cultivation is weak. It is a big casino. However, it seems that it is a puppet of the fire rudder of the One Piece Hall. It earns spirit stones, but it has to make offerings. That subordinate respectfully said. The Da Fengang, just a small, unimpressive clan. Li Haran didn't take it seriously and said, by the way, Battalion Master, these 3,000 shrimp soldiers and crab generals that follow Bosha, the weakest of them are also in the Jindan realm, but they are great tonic ingredients. That subordinate said with a hint of pleading. When we find what I want, not only the shrimp soldiers and crab generals, Boshi can also give you meat, Li Haran said confidently. Yes, the crowd of Divine Mechanism Battalion disciples answered. Da Fengang, inner area of the gang, Spirit Spring Pool. Guhai was violently absorbing the purple Spirit Mother's chi around his body. The Spirit Stones that were sitting down were in the midst of rapidly dimming. Not far away, Shangwan Trace was looking at Guhai in surprise. Spirit Mother's chi. How is that possible? My lord only absorbs Spirit Mother's chi. Shangwan Trace's eyelids fluttered furiously. While ordinary villains still didn't understand the preciousness of Spirit Mother's chi, Shangwan Trace recognized that if the Spirit chi was compared to food, what the crowd ate was just a crude meal, while what Guhai ate was the dragon's liver and Phoenix's heart. Boom! There was a tremor around Guhai. A ripple drummed in all directions from around Guhai. Innate Realm, 7th level. Guhai steeply opened his eyes and took a deep breath. However, at the moment, this kind of vibration was everywhere in the Spirit Spring Pool, and Guhai's movement was not obvious. Buzz, as if the last ounce of aura had been drained clean, the hundreds of thousands of spirit stones in the Spirit Spring Pool suddenly shattered apart and turned into pieces. One by one, the villains opened their eyes, one after another, looking at the spiritual spring pool with reluctance. It had only been one day. I've broken through. I've reached the Jindan realm. Damn, the dark wounds on my body are all healed. The current me can fight past 5 of me. My dark injuries are all healed as well. The Spirit Spring is truly extraordinary and has such a healing effect. What a pity. If only I had one more day. The crowd of villains were talking, all of them exuberant. On the side, Chen Chanchen's eyes were filled with pity. Consuming so many spirit stones in a single day, something Chen Chanchen wouldn't have dared to even think about before, but His Excellency had used it so casually. Wow! Guhai slowly stood up from the pool. The Spirit Spring Pool was steeply silent. Everyone stopped talking and looked at Guhai together. Guhai slowly walked to the shore, and along the way, the wicked people gave way, and looked at Gu Hai with incomparable respect. "All right, the spiritual spring has also soaked. Get up and do something," Gu Hai commanded. "Yes," the crowd of villains answered. One by one, the villains walked out of the spiritual spring pool, a refreshed state. The Earth Ministry, led by Chen Chongchen, walked out of the Heavenly Sword Life and Death Bureau Grand Formation and began to reopen at the Colosseum and pay attention to the news from the four directions. The remaining three divisions searched the area within the Dafengang, digging into the ground. Gu Hai stayed in the Dragon Turtle Hall with a large number of Great Fengang's canonical books in front of him. Dafengang is not deep, at least from the beginning of the gang leader, is not the kind of far-reaching people, so the content of the various books is not much. Most of the records are just Dafengang in the past few decades of the major things that happened. Gu Hai things are not detailed, one by one to look at. Outside, the evil people have just had a breakthrough. At this moment is in high spirits. Gu Hai's orders, extremely strict to implement. In the outside world, the Colosseum was once again opened. The evil people opened the Colosseum. Is it true? Go take a look. It's really a cycle of karma. One by one, the cultivators stepped into the Colosseum, and after merely glancing slightly at the crying Dafengang disciples in the Colosseum, they turned their gaze towards one by one, the evil people. It was as if they were spying on them, and it was also as if they wanted to find out what was different about them. All right, just now, 10 Great Abundance Gang disciples chickened out and have all died. Now, there are finally 2 who dare to answer the battle. Start placing your bets, a voice bellowed. However, very few of the gamblers placed their bets. They just watched with worldly dancing eyelids. Next to the Colosseum, Meng Tai stood in a corner with his arm around Wine Chime, his eyes slightly narrowed as he looked around. 3 days. What in the world did they go through? How is it that the essence of all the villains has changed drastically? Could it be that Gu Hai discovered that place? Impossible, right? Meng Tai's face was gloomy, revealing a hint of worry as he said. Wind Bell, however, was silent, as if she had no interest in anything. Right at this moment, a middle-aged man in a golden robe slowly walked over. "Mr. Meng," the middle-aged man smiled. "So it's the Golden Horn Gang Master." Meng Tai smiled slightly. "Thanks to Mr. Guidance, my brother Silver Hon and I have already organized nearly 10,000 cultivators. Set up an oath, all the people involved in the formation breaking team. When the time comes, whoever gets the 100 longevity peach first. It is whoever it is, and we are not allowed to kill each other, and everything depends on each person's chance." Golden Horn Gang leader laughed. "You guys are really quick to organize." Meng Tai laughed slightly. "I am my family brother, a Yuaning realm. Just arrived here the day before yesterday, almost ready to go to break into the formation, but also thanks to Mr. Meng pointed out. Otherwise, if we repeat the same mistake as Li Wei, that would be bad. According to Mr. Meng pointed out, organize the 4 sides of the cultivators. And sure enough, we all clicked, and are willing to attack the big formation with me. Capture Gu Hai, and seize the peach." Golden Horn laughed. "You each get what you want." Others thought that you 2 brothers must have become the main target of Gu Hai's attack, and they could fish in troubled waters. Don't you know, all of them participated, but instead distracted Gu Hai's attention, and let you have more chances to capture Gu Hai. Meng Tai laughed. "It's to each his own, but I believe that we brothers will definitely be the first to catch Gu Hai. I can't imagine that I just came to the 9-5 Islands and I have such a great harvest, ha ha ha," Golden Horn said excitedly. "When will the formation be broken?" Meng Tai curiously said. "There are 10,000 people now. I'll fight for a bit more. I heard that this ancient sea is weird. I want to wait for 2 more days. After organizing 20,000 people, then I'll start." Golden Horn took a deep breath and said. "Still have to wait," Meng Tai frowned, as if there was some urgency. "Mr. Meng, yet I'm a little curious. Why do you want to help me?" aren't you and Gu Hai? Both fellow members of the One Piece Hall. And it seems that Gu Hai has just saved you, Golden Horn curiously said. There is no reason. I still have some things to do. Leaving first, Meng Tai shook his head. Wrapping his arms around Wine Chime, Meng Tai stepped away from Golden Horn, as there were already some evil gazes looking around. Golden Horn looked at Meng Tai's back and looked awed for a while. What a strange person.